Thank you, Maria. Really nice being here. As for the recording, I'm going to repeat myself. I'm the education and sustainability designer at Novia University of Applied Sciences in Finland. That means that I both work with our educational programs, but also with our management team and our different faculties when it comes to our own sustainability work. I'm kind of head of sustainability, but I said that I prefer a title with also educational design because that is very much what I'm working with, not only within the Faculty of Arts and Humanities, which is my home faculty, but also with our other faculties. We have four different faculties or five different faculties in four different cities. So we kind of educate within all fields. So arts and humanities is just one of the fields I'm working with. So I'm not from the gaming industry, but the last 5, 7 years, I've had the opportunity to learn about your industry, and I've learned a lot, which I'm really happy about. But I'm more into like educational design than uh, uh, gaming industry, meaning that if we have any technical questions, I will probably hand over to my colleague Mikael, but we'll see where we'll end up. So what we are doing at the moment, we've had within gaming or game industry, we've had RDI projects for many years, 10, 15 years. We've done different kind of international work, like within with other partners and with other universities and with the field, the industry. But we haven't educated within the game industry yet. And we realize that we are 20, 30 years too late here in this. But in a way, today I'm happy. I've been frustrated for many, many years, but why are we not giving any kind of program within for the game industry? But now today, when we actually launch a new program, a new bachelor's program in next autumn, this is the first time now when we accept new students to this program. I'm happy it hasn't happened before, because where we are standing today is that now when we do it now, we can do this program in a totally new way. Even if we would have done it only 3 years ago, we would still have done it in a more linear way than we're going to do now, because 1.5 years ago, we published our new strategy, which is like the strategy for the whole university, which is actually putting sustainability on top of everything else. The first thing we say in our strategy is that we are working, everything we do is pointing at sustainable solutions. Meaning that we now have a strategy, the whole university has a strategy that actually asks us to redo our programs, redo the way we have been teaching for the last 30 years, redo how we see a lot of things. We are still, as universities around the world, even though we are talking a lot about sustainability, we are talking about circular economy, we are talking about system change, but most of us, if we are really honest, as universities or higher educations, we still educate for a linear system. We haven't really changed. Maybe we have spread some green glitter over it, but we haven't really changed on a systemic level. So when future generations look back at higher education during this time, when climate change went into climate catastrophe and so on, will they say that higher education did enough? Well, at the moment, no. So with this new program in game arts, we are trying to do something not totally different. I mean, it's still higher education in Finland in kind of a traditional way. But the way we have built the curricula is that sustainability isn't something that is like on the side or on top of everything else. We have really tried, and we have also involved Maria in this work, which we are really happy. We have appreciated a lot because there's a lot of competence in this lady. So she has also looked into our curricula and given feedback on, okay, you need to add this, you could do it in this way, you have to. So now we have it isn't published yet, but when we publish this curricula, it will be very different from everything else we have. in our university from before. So my best practice point here is that this program in game arts will lead the way for the rest of our programs, which also needs to be updated within the next few years. Of course, we have updated all our programs with sustainability already for several years, but we need to do it more from like within, from this systemic change point of view. And what is also a good practice with this new program is that it's also sustainable in a different way. There is a tradition, I don't know in your countries, but at least here in Finland, there is a tradition that there's kind of a chilly relationship between academia and the game industry. And I've been to a lot of different like fairs and occasions the last few years within the gaming industry, and I've heard it so many times that the people from the industry says that academia and higher education is stiff and boring and do it in the wrong way, and there's a huge distance between the real world and academia. And of course, most of you represent academia, so you probably think that this might not be the case because you might be standing in both worlds, so to say. But there is this some kind of fraction between academia and the industry, but also the other way around. Academia tend to look at the people representing the industry like stubborn, maybe difficult to work with, doing everything in their own way, not really fitting into the system and things like this. So we have this some kind of tension between the industry and higher education. And this is also something that we, from the very beginning, when we started planning this new program, it's been developed within a project called Cross-Border. No, Mikael, help me. What's the project name? It's total blank in my head.
Borderless Game Academy.
Borderless Game Academy. Cross-Border is a present project we have going on. Borderless Game Academy. That project is like the father and mother of this new game arts program. That is also done in close cooperation with the industry and also with different kind of programs in Sweden, especially. We're in Finland, but our main language is Swedish. The new program will be in English because that's kind of natural since it's about game arts. But anyway, we have done the project which has developed the program. We have done together with Visual Magic in Skellefteå in Sweden, and they have a 2.5 and a 3 year long program within visual effect or after visual effects and After Effects, and they have been very closely linked in doing this. So the point is also that we are going to do this program in 2 different ways. We have this campus-based class or students in campus on location physically here for 2 years. This is a 240 credit points program starting next September. Application period now in January 26. So it's a long process of application. But anyway, this program can be taken both here on campus, or it can be done remotely. If we have students or people applying who, for example, have done these kinds of yrkeshögskola in Swedish, which is a vocational training, and it's not university level, it's vocational training, but they have so much competences. They do so much great things on this vocational level in Sweden when it comes to game industry or educating for the game industry. So it's built, the program is built that you can come with all of those competences, and you can have that with you, even though it's not official credit points. It can be turned into competences, and it can maybe make the period of study here at our university shorter if you have the competences. That's a really, really good thing with the Finnish law when it comes to higher education, that if a person has competences, we can validate them into credit points, of course, if we are sure and we can actually measure those competences. So this is going to be a very flexible also, and in that way sustainable program, that you don't need to spend time within the educational system, like if you have competences you can make it faster. And I know it's not the same situation, and I know that the legal like policy is different around the world, but here in Finland we have this really great situation that as a University of Applied Sciences we can do this. Of course it comes with a lot of responsibility, but it can also make that we can be flexible for our students, so we can have one group of students maybe working remotely with a lot of previous competences in their backpack, and they can do it maybe at the same time as they work or have their own studio. And this can be a formal way, or this can be like a way of formalizing their knowledge into official credit points and actually take a bachelor's degree. And we have this group of maybe younger or at least less experienced students on campus who do it the more normal way. So it's also there pushing the limits a bit how we normally work with higher education, and how we build our programs. So also in that sense, this program will be leading the way in our university. So this is kind of a test laboratory, but still it's also very I've enjoyed a lot designing this program together with my colleagues at the RDI department, because it will be, of course, it will be challenging to do it the first time, and it's we need to have a really tight or close connection to the industry when we start doing it. And our plan is also not to hire teachers, like to have full-time teachers here on location, because we want to have people teaching in this program who are also working all the time within the industry. So we are going to we are now trying to find a way how to do it, but I'm really excited that we have come this far now, that we actually launch it and it's going to happen. And it's we have an application period coming up already in January, so it's very, very exciting. And now I have, Maria, no idea how long I've been talking, but I think that was my 12 minutes. So if there is any questions, or if there's something you would like to add, me, Maria, after reading this curriculum and you know about the program. So if you would like to add something, or Mikael, please, if you would like to add something, please free to fill in.
I mean, I really like, so the first time we talked, I really admired how you talked about the new way of building this curriculum. So because like many times what we see at the Sustainable Games Alliance, that sustainability is just treated as something on the side. So like there are universities adding maybe one workshop, one course on top of everything else. So what I really loved is to rethink basically the whole curriculum. And I would love to ask you, how was it to talk to your colleagues about it? How did you manage to basically introduce it and try it out? How did you manage to take the fear out of your colleagues? Yeah.
It's not really about the colleagues here at the Faculty of Arts and Humanities, because those are the easy ones. It's about the colleagues in the management team. It's about the colleagues in the board. It's about the colleagues in like the university management. And I've been working for the last 4-ish years with giving our CEO, president, and the whole management team, all the deans at the different faculties. I've been working really, really hard with giving them climate anxiety in the last 5 years. And I've kind of succeeded. Our CEO nowadays says things like, he opened a seminar in end of May, where he said, it was a seminar on biogas production in Zambia, so it was in a totally different setting. But anyway, he's opened a seminar and he said, we have one globe only, and we need to act accordingly to that. He wouldn't have said that 5 years ago, but today he said it. And that is like the whole change. And that is also why we have a strategy saying that everything we do should work for sustainable solutions. Of course, as all universities, we have quite a stubborn members of staff group of people. So I'm not saying it's easy, and I'm not saying it's happening everywhere within our university, but at least we have a strategy saying that this is something that we actually take seriously. It's not something that we just say because everybody else says it. We really mean it, and we really want to make a difference. I know we're not making that difference yet, but it's so much easier to launch a program like this, with a curriculum like this, with the sustainability issues from within, when I can lean on the strategy. I can just say it hasn't actually been a discussion. It's more like, of course, this is something we have to do because it's totally aligned with our strategy. So I'd say that it's the policy making behind all of this that makes it easy in a way. It hasn't been a problem. But of course, I realize also when we come to the point when we actually deliver the program from September on, with every single guest teacher we invite, with every single teacher involved, of course, we have to make sure that it's actually followed. And that's a good thing to have it in the curriculum, because then we don't have a choice not to do it. So it's a way of steering, but in a good way. So was that an answer to your question, Maria?
Yeah, I think that was cool. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Emma. I actually would like to give the floor right away to the University of Tübingen, and then close with questions, with a question round at the end.
I'm filling in for Teresa, as I just told in the beginning, and I'm really glad to be here. And I think I have two things I want to present to you. First of all, how we at the Ethics Center, which is part of the University of Tübingen, understand sustainable development and how we think that with games. And also to talk in the end a bit about what we are currently planning and how our current status quo is. So to start, I would like to briefly sketch out what sustainable development means for us at the University of Tübingen, where it is considered to be a central topic within the university-wide strategy. So the university's understanding of sustainable development is derived from the conception of the United Nations, expressed in the Brundtland Report and later in the Sustainable Development Goals. Sustainable development is thus a principle of justice aimed at safeguarding the natural foundations of life for all people living today, for future generations, and for the modern human world. Defined as such, sustainable development is clearly normative. It is about what should be the case, and it entails explicit and implicit values such as justice or freedom. This normative orientation is also emphasized at the Ethics Center. So, as an ethical principle, our understanding of sustainable development calls for one, intergenerational justice. So, all people living today should have equal access to national resources, wealth, rights, opportunities, and so forth. It also calls for intergenerational justice. So, we carry the responsibility for future generations. And I see that the chat is popping up. If there's something I need to know, please interfere while talking to me, because I can't see the chat.
Yeah, all good. We will let you know. Yeah.
Perfect. So to follow up on that, it also calls for a global approach. And lastly, it calls for considering limits to development, such as planetary boundaries, but also technological capacities. Speaking already of the Ethics Center, I think it's worth briefly looking at our organizational structure, into which our projects and of course also sustainable development and games are embedded, because this is somewhat unusual for a German university. The Ethics Center is a cross-faculty center at the University of Tübingen, and its members are dedicated to working on a wide range of interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary projects. Often these deal with the latest ethical issues in science and society, such as AI, education, but of course also sustainability. At the moment, we are a community of over 50 researchers from a variety of different disciplinary backgrounds across humanities, social, and also natural sciences. Our research is organized in 6 thematic groups, and as you can see on the slide here, nature and sustainable development is one of our 6 focus areas. From within these research groups, we work on a multitude of transdisciplinary projects, most of them funded by third parties, such as the Federal Ministry of Research, Technology and Space. In addition, there are emerging topics that are not immediately visible within our structure yet. For example, we have two projects, Pretina and the Interactive Gaze, which are both focusing on games. And Martin already mentioned one of them. And so I will give just a brief overview of what those two projects are dealing with. Both are games focused. So we have the one project that's called Pretina, which is a project that pursues two overarching goals. On the one hand, citizens are to be supported in exercising their fundamental right to informational self-determination when using eye tracking technologies in computer games. On the other hand, developers should be enabled to assume their ethical, legal, and social responsibility to protect the privacy of users and to technically implement data protection. And the cute wizard symbol you see here is what is the logo of a game the team developed for the Gamescom this year. I think it's really cute. And the second project, as Martin already mentioned, is called the Interactive Gaze. And this project aims to develop a framework for the ethical assessment of surveillance images, as Martin told you before, in digital games. And the central goals of the projects are: one, the systematic analysis of the state of surveillance images in digital games, the ethical reflection of problematic aspects, and third, the discussion of the research results with the academic community and the wider public, as well as the application in political education. Our research in games and ethics is, of course, broader than these two projects. There's a very active community of researchers working on games and gaming beyond these projects who are organizing different types of events or present their research at conferences such as DIGRA. So with sustainable development and games being two very active research groups, it seems only natural that eventually the two would join forces. And that was the birth of our initiative on sustainability in and around games. And that's why I'm here today talking instead of Teresa about the topic. So at the moment, this is our core team, and you have nearly all of us here. So Martin, Christopher, and myself, and also Teresa, who wanted me to say hi and who wanted me to say that she's really sorry that she couldn't join us. She would have loved to be here if the time would have been on her side. So these four people, me included, we are the core team on sustainability, ethics, and games right now. And as you can see, we are mostly media scholars. So it is important for us to connect to our in-house experts on sustainable development in the social and natural science, of course. And in addition, since we are a research focused institute, we are more in a traditional university setting. It is absolutely essential that we bridge the gap between theory and practice. For that, we need a strong network that includes other researchers, as well as game designers, artists, industry representatives, and other stakeholders outside academia. Our aim, therefore, is first, to work together across academic fields and across institutions. Secondly, to connect theory and practice, which is to say that we want to talk to the people who actually make and distribute games. And finally, to engage the public as well. And for a research university, this is quite challenging since we do not have the same networks as, say, for example, in a University of Applied Science with a game studies course. In order to build such a transdisciplinary community, as I just mentioned, we follow a three-step process. So we start locally at the Ethics Center and branch out via different institutes at the University of Tübingen. Building on this local network, we would then like to extend an open invitation to scholars and practitioners working at the intersection between games and sustainable development. Once we have built a strong network, and I think my slide was too fast. Once we have built a strong network, we can start thinking about larger funding bids, for instance, with the German Research Foundation or an ERC grant. And for now, however, we are still in the process of initiating conversations and building our network. And in more concrete terms, we are planning an international and transdisciplinary conference that will take place in October next year. The tentative date currently is set to be the 21st to 23rd of October. And the goal is to bring together internationally leading scholars and early career researchers across fields like game studies and media studies, as well as industry representatives, journalists, designers, and other stakeholders. And the conference themes we are currently thinking about are aesthetics of sustainable development in games, ethics of sustainable development in games, as well as practices of sustainable development. And the 3-step open up the conference to a wide range of themes and methodologies, from analyzing eco-games or post-apocalyptic game worlds via studies on the effectiveness of labels and risks of greenwashing, to methods for reducing the carbon footprint of making and playing games. And we are still very much open for additional suggestions and other themes that might particularly be interesting for all of you. And to match our conference transdisciplinary and participatory approach, we would like to open the conference also to a much broader range of formats than is usually the case at our university. So we want to have not only classic paper presentations, we could also imagine having something like an open space for meet and greets or for showcase games. And this is also just the beginning, so we are welcoming all ideas that you might have, which could be helpful. And as I just said, this is maybe where all of you come in, because if you're interested in participating as a speaker or a contributor, or if you have tips and ideas for our event, we would love to hear from you. And of course, we also love to stay in touch. And thank you for listening. And I'm really looking forward to talk more about that with you all.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jana. Cool.